What's up, everyone? We are back!
TokuBrew podcast. It's me.
And we've returned, and we are talking about comic books.
Woo.
And this will no way be a series that will be named something else by next episode. Or maybe it won't. Maybe it'll still be the TokuBrew podcast. Still haven't decided yet. Thank you, future me, for deciding it later. I am your host, Adam Prime, and with me, as always...
I'm Stormy. I'm here again.
And this, after months, literally 6 months, I've been saying I was going to do this months ago, we are going to
We're doing it now.
Yeah, doing it right now. We are talking about comic books.
Something that we haven't really talked about on here.
I would say there have been a bunch of stuff that we said we should talk about. Like, I know we talked about, like, the Ultraman manga. There have been other shows and, like, projects that were like, oh, we should do something on that. That could be fun. And then just don't.
Mm-hmm.
That's how things work.
Anyway, comic books. We both like them.
Well, exactly. I'm about to say, I've been reading comic books for a very long time.
More of a new thing for me, actually.
That is an interesting thought and prospect. But
yeah, one of the main reasons we wanted to make this was because we just have, like, completely different experiences with comic books. So
completely different backgrounds.
So it's just like, oh, it could be interesting to just, like, have some back and forth from the different experiences, talk about the different subjects.
And we are talking about mutually one of our favorite heroes.
It's the boy. It's Spider-Man.
Oh, not spiders, man.
Spider-Man.
Not the hive of spiders that believe they're Peter Parker.
Yeah, those guys. They can get out of here. We're talking about Peter Parker, the #1 guy.
And mostly just because, again, Spider-Man is just a really fun character to talk about. And we are going to be talking about a handful of issues, about 5, roughly. I'm not going to give
like
exact numbers. But we are going to talk about them in an undistinguished order. But I want to talk about some very early ones because why not? We got a book that's technically college grade.
Yeah. Is there a way of, like...
Yeah, I'm probably going to have a picture of it. It is no longer as beautiful as it once looked.
It has citations in it.
It has citations.
It has a bibliography, guys.
Yeah, maybe I won't take a picture of that. That's kind of boring. But a lot of my pictures, by the way, there are going to be pictures of comic pages. They are going to be from the book we are reading from.
But since this is going to be coming mainly from this book, and we've mentioned it, I think we got to mention the fact of what the heck happened to our book.
Yeah, okay, wait. Honest to God truth to everyone here. If you buy one of these Penguin classic Marvel collections, whatever they're called.
Anything that has, like, foiling.
Yeah, there are multiple versions. There is a paperback and a hardback. If you buy the hardback version...
display.
Do not take the cellophane off it. Because all we did was put it on a bookshelf, and the gold... You know what's funny is I'm going to actually have to take a picture from, like a selling listing for this book so you can actually see
what it's supposed to look like.
And now I'm gonna have to take a picture of what ours looks like, and we're telling the truth. All we did was put it on a shelf, and some of it rubbed off on my Compendium of Invincible, and I don't know how to feel about that.
There was a big old eye on it for a long time. It kind of faded now, but yeah, these guys get damaged real easily. So if you're gonna take the
or maybe it's our coffee.
Maybe ours just sucked.
Maybe ours just was like got the flakiest
that would be our
coffee
luck for sure.
But overall, it's a really good book. I think it has a bunch of interesting interviews and everything. I have read it from pretty much cover to cover.
But yeah, like, this just seems like a cool opportunity to talk about, like, the very beginnings of Spider-Man.
So we're going to talk about...
comic book, because, like, he's just a hot topic right now, and, you know...
But, like, before we get into the comics themselves, how did you get into Spider-Man?
So, growing up, I did not have cable for a very long time. I had a lot of just, like, VHS tapes and DVDs that I would have to just have on repeat, or I would go to a thing called Blockbuster. I'm old because that's not really a thing anymore. But or at least it was a video rental store for anyone that is about our age.
If you don't know what Blockbuster is, I don't know how to feel about that.
You're too young. Get out.
Run
away. But
the adults are talking.
I basically grew up on the Tobey Maguire movies, and I just watched those on repeat a lot of the time. The second one was one of my favorites because I just thought
Well, Spider-Man 2 is amazing.
It was just very, very fun watching. Here's the thing. I really liked, as a kid, the one with Venom in it.
Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, I really liked it because I thought that the suit was cool. Honestly, when I was saying 2,
well,
I thought that was
too bad
cool.
we're not going to be talking about how cool that suit is anytime in this video.
Nope.
We're
But
not going to be allowed to.
Those first 2 movies, so good.
They still hold up.
They
I don't
still
care what
hold
anyone fucking says. Like, I like those. Yeah, okay, I'm going to get that passionate this early on.
Do it.
I'm about to say,
you love Spider-Man, go for it.
I'm about to say, do you have anything else you want to say outside of, like, how much you like those movies?
Well, my introduction to Spider-Man is, like, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, that was, like, my first introduction to it, and I don't know, like, I feel like I just kind of... Comic books before, like, Marvel really got big, because there's probably some younger people out there where, like, Marvel's always just kind of been big. There was a time before, believe it or not. If you liked comic books at a certain time, you were a nerd, like, and that was not a good thing.
2008 onward, like, by the time you hit 2012 when Avengers hits, like, liking comic books was just so much more acceptable and more common than ever before.
Or at least knowing comic book
MCU,
characters.
you know how it felt to be the kid who liked Iron Man before 2008's Iron Man movie came out? Like, I felt I was the only kid excited about it, and then everyone else liked it. And I was like, oh, whoa, okay, that's fucking cool. And yes, I was that kid.
But, I don't know, like, in a lot of the times, it's like, oh, who's your favorite superhero? It's always either, like, Superman or Batman. Usually they would even just be like, oh, pick one of the two. And I don't know, it just felt like Spider-Man was never, like, on the table. Like, I was like, does he not count?
I want to know who the fuck you were talking to.
Honestly, it was just kind of kids, so, like, they were dumb kids. They were my age, so we were all dumb kids.
Well, honestly, like,
but, like, either way, like...
Yeah, you think of the big pillars of superheroes. The 3 are Superman, Batman, Spider-Man.
Yeah,
like those are the biggest 3 American. Like, somebody's like, what about Goku? Fuck off.
Like, that's manga. We're not talking about
that's not. We're not talking about manga right now. Even though I love you, Akira Toriyama.
Hot take. I actually prefer manga over comic books. But
is that a hot take anymore?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't think so.
Either way,
I like both.
I like both. I like comic books. I love manga, but like to show my bias. But like I still love all of this.
But yeah, I understand why Japan kind of looked at our comics being like, what the fuck
There's
is
a
this?
lot of words on here, man. I just genuinely prefer like the art doing more of the talking. But honestly, comic books nowadays do that really well.
Yeah.
It's much better than they did, in the beginning where it was more about
in the 40s.
Writing. Yeah, we've improved since the 40s, believe it or not.
What? But yeah, I cannot tell you, like, when I got into Spider-Man. It was just something I just integrally had in my soul. I can't even, I don't know if it was my sister, but I doubt it. Like, I can't think of any specific family member. Like, I know people knew I was into Spider-Man, but, like,
You just forever were just looked at him and were just immediately
yeah,
like, yeah.
And it's like, the Tobey Maguire movies were definitely there. I also watched, like, a bunch of the cartoons, like the 90s one. I loved watching Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And no, not the stupid new one, where they're fucking now 2 other Spider people. Where the fuck is Firestar and Iceman? That's fucking rude. Those are not your amazing friends. Those are your web friends. Those are very different. How dare you? Fucking whoever you are at Disney trying to rewrite history.
You're not even 10 minutes in out. You may need to reel it in.
No. I'm passionate.
I know you're passionate. But
also, anyone who hates Miles Morales can go eat it.
Yeah, eat it. Miles he is Spider-Man, and if you disagree,
all the
I
hot
don't care.
takes.
I don't care.
Yeah, about to say, click off this video. I don't care anymore.
Get out of here. But anyway, I'd say that I got more into it once. It was Civil War where he popped up. Right?
Yeah, that was the first time
honestly,
Tom Holland Spider-Man showed up.
That was probably the most. Like, I was just like, oh, it was cool to like Spider-Man again, and then I just kind of more embraced it, and then I just was a fan from then on. Because I didn't really want to go, but my friend dragged me to it, and I had no clue what was going on, because I hadn't really seen. And I had seen, like, maybe a spattering of the Marvel movies. I guess I grew up more in a DC household because I'd seen way more Batman than Superman at that point. But I just watched that and I was just like, yeah! And then it said Spider-Man will return. And I was just like, yeah! And I was just in from then on.
Yeah. Also, before we move on, you were saying how, like, your first experience was those Tobey Maguire movies. I own that DVD. I wore that DVD out. Like, I don't even know how many times I have seen that movie. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, the Green Goblin looks so bad. I fucking love that design. Go I
I love
like
that
that.
design.
Like Willem Dafoe,
One of the best.
masterclass.
Like that's
masterclass.
He nails it. He nails
Better
it.
than Goblin Disease in fucking Amazing Spider-Man 2. I hate the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Like, I'm sorry anyone who likes them. Like, I tried. I went in such an open mind. But the funniest thing is, do you want to mention the story?
So I would have sworn up and down that I had never seen those movies.
Well, yeah, I didn't watch them for the first time until we were together. Mm-hmm. But when we went to go rewatch them after watching No Way Home, we decided, we're like, you know what, let's go through all the Spider-Man movies. So we got back to the Amazing Spider-Man, and you told me, man, I've never seen this one before. And I'm like, what are you talking? Yeah, and I'm like, what are you talking about? We've watched this before. No, you've probably watched it, but I've never seen it before. I'm like, no, Stormy. The only reason I know you've seen it, the first time I ever watched this movie was with you.
Anyway, I went in it with like fully I wanted to like this movie. I really, really did, because in No Way Home, spoiler alert for No Way Home, but it's been a while.
It's been a while.
So I feel like the memes at the very least have given it away. So Andrew Garfield is also in that movie, and I loved his performance. I loved his specific portrayal of Spider-Man. It was very funny. And so I went in just like, maybe I'll love the underdog, because these movies have notoriously gotten a reputation.
Yeah, as I kept trying to convince her she has seen this movie before.
I mean, to be fair, like, there are some like absolute like defenders of that movie, and you live your best life. If that's your movie, you go right.
Yeah, it was like halfway through the movie. But I think when the lizard showed up.
Was it? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
You just had that look of just like, you're like, oh my god.
I have seen this
movie.
Like, it came all flooding back, and I was just like, oh, I blocked this one out.
But yeah, no, I knew if there were...
I still don't remember most of what happened in those movies.
We're not here to talk about The Amazing Spider-Man, and I feel like with how we were talking right there, nobody really probably wants to hear us talk about... Or maybe you do! Oh, God. It's okay.
Water spill.
It's okay.
We're good.
The water's fine.
No toys were harmed in the process.
But yeah, I knew if I was going to be talking about comic books, there were going to be like a couple characters I knew I had to talk about. But we're talking about Spider-Man first, because he's pretty big. Mm-hmm. And we are going to be talking about, this is what we're going to be getting into right now, the first two issues. We are talking about Amazing Fantasy 15 and Spider-Man issue 1. We're going to talk about Amazing Fantasy 15 because I don't really hear anyone else talk about Amazing Fantasy 15 outside of the Spider-Man stuff. It's obviously the biggest stuff that ever came out of Amazing Fantasy 15.
Yeah, nothing else in here is really anything significant.
But we need to talk about it. But like the Spider-Man story is like so short. I think it's only like 9 pages or something like that. It's pretty short. Like, you see him talk with Uncle Ben, and I think he dies the next page. Yeah. Like
it's like Spider-Man, but if you're like speed running.
Well, it's like, and this is the first time, and this is how you do origin stories back then.
Originally, Spider-Man wasn't like in his own contained comic book. Like, he was with like other stories, so it had to get crammed into like.
Well, it was an anthology book, so it's like we had a Spider-Man origin story.
He just ended up getting popular, and there's like, hey, we're gonna.
Which,
give him
by the way,
something.
can we talk about real quick how nobody thought
I love this panel?
Oh my god! Yeah, I think I do have it where Spider-Man has the eyes. Like, I don't know why he has eyes. Also, anyone who says, "Oh, Tobey Maguire cries so much," even in the first issue,
Spider-Man
he cries a
lot, all the time.
But like, and it's a very simple story. It's like, oh, the wrestler and everything else, how he decided he was going to do a career. But it wasn't in, like, wrestling. It was, like, doing stunt work. And then because it's, like, first he fights Crusher Hogan, who is, like, this fat, bald guy. And, like, pretty much does that in a web mask. But then they're like, oh, wow, you're really something. And then he makes the Spider-Man suit. And then he just starts doing stunts. He doesn't become a wrestler. He just starts doing stunts. And then, is it this issue or is it the next issue where he tries to cash a check and he can't because he's Spider-Man?
Oh my god.
Because they're like, you need to not have a mask. He's like, what? But why not? And it's super stupid. Then we have the classic, oh, he let this guy who stole money get away, and then he shoots Uncle Ben. No, like, classic stuff. And obviously,
Bing, bang, boom, Ben's dead.
But isn't it interesting to think that with great power must also come great responsibility?
It's something he just kind of learns. Like,
it's not even, it's just something Bubbles. They don't credit it to Uncle Ben. Like, later editions and new iterations of the origin story will give that phrasing to Uncle Ben, and it's synonymous to be his quote. But initially, it's just written as a text box. Mm-hmm. A lesson that Peter morally learned. I seriously saw somebody try to say that Spider-Man was not a selfless hero. And I'm like, have you read anything? Like, somebody's like, yeah, he is selfish. Peter have very much selfish moments. He's a wang a little bit.
For anyone who hasn't actually read any of, like, the early Spider-Man comics or hasn't seen any of, like, the early Spider-Man media, he kind of is a bit of a jerk. Like, he is a little bit more of... He's not, like, an immediate...
He's in it for himself.
Yeah, and it's like he has a lot to learn. He's kind of a spoiled, rotten kid. Like he can be selfish.
He's bullied and everything else.
Yes, but, like, the whole thing with Spider-Man and saying that he's a selfish hero just isn't true.
Because it's like he does it in spite of it.
Like that was the first hard lesson he had to learn. That's what his whole thing with the great power.
Him saying it's not my problem when he could have stopped it is the whole lesson. Like, exactly. The idea that, like, the fact that he looked at that mugger and said, "You're not my problem," and then it became his problem, and he's gonna live with the rest of his life knowing he could have saved Uncle Ben.
That's why it's so important.
Yeah, I do find it weird that he has little beady eyes on the mask. I don't know what that's about.
I shit my pants.
Like, it looks so weird. Also,
I only have the one suit. What do I do?
Like, yeah, but, like, there's no supervillain in the first story and everything else. And I also think it's really interesting because it's about a teenager, and that was something that technically wasn't really going over at the time. Yes, there were teenagers in the other comics. Experience. Well, it's like, even in the Fantastic Four, the Human Torch was a main character, and he is the same age as Peter. We'll get back to that in a second.
Yeah, but this is like the classic.
But, like, he's the main character. The main character is Peter. Mm-hmm. And I think it's funny when Stan Lee was putting it around, people were like, "What are you talking about? That's not going to sell. That's going to suck. Nobody's going to buy it." And now look at where we are now.
They own the entire planet.
Well, exactly. And it's like, but then also you have to factor in stuff like Teen Titans and everything, where it's like Spider-Man walked for teenage heroes to run. Mm-hmm. Like, that's, honestly, if you look about it.
Basically a trope at this point.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's such a trope now.
Just in superheroes, not even in specific comic books.
Like I said, everyone talks about this part of Amazing Fantasy 15, and it's okay. It's not. I'm not going to be like, "Oh man, it's spectacular." But if you were a Spider-Man fan,
worth it.
You should read at least the parts for Spider-Man from Amazing Fantasy 15 at least once. I believe you should read the whole Amazing Fantasy 15 at least once, because there are some weird stories, because you want to know what you get right after you're done reading Spider-Man?
Get the Bell Ringer. Oh, you never heard of the Bell Ringer?
A dude who
either.
He's just... Literally, it's a story about a dude dying in a volcano. Like, it's literally 3 pages.
It's 3 pages. I forgot it was 3 pages
It's long. Just 3 pages. But, like, it shows that the bell ringer... He's like, no, the people need to know. As the, like, volcano is consuming a city.
Ascended.
Yeah, then angels, I think, were saving him. Like, I don't even know what it was. I want to say it was angels of some sort. But, like, they were like, oh, wow.
No, they basically say he just got risen up on.
Yeah, I like that nobody went back to save him. They were like, no.
Well, no, they tried to get him to leave with them, and he was just like, no, I gotta ring the bell. That's so much more important.
Oh, my God. When are we getting this adapted, Marvel? MCU, when's the bell ringer?
Spit all over this very expensive comic book.
It wasn't that expensive.
It's already ruined.
Yeah, dude, it's already
dead. It has Invincible imprinted on it.
But...
And then next is... Man in the Mummy case, where a man in a purple suit
a man who
runs from the law, trusts a mummy, and then gets sent back into Egypt.
That's the story.
Woo!
Yeah, that was so weird. Yeah, I think it's so funny to see all these other weird horror anthology stories.
It feels very like they tried to do something like Twilight Zone.
Well, it was. Like, that's definitely what it was. That's why... Which, by the way, this actually used to be called Amazing Adult Fantasy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, apparently. And Spider-Man just usurped the amazing out of it, I guess.
Well, maybe it was just to show... Because Amazing Fantasy 15 was
Well,
the
I mean,
last
if you
issue.
think about it, that was what they recognized with Spider-Man at that point. Like, oh, amazing, there's Spider-Man. That's what I'm buying Amazing for. So it's just like, oh, Amazing Spider-Man. Then they're like, oh, okay,
well,
there's
here's
the thing.
Funny you say that.
I
Like,
imagine.
Amazing Fantasy 15 is canceled right after Spider-Man. Issue 15 was the last one, if I remember correct. I know they've probably brought it back again to get day, so there probably is an Amazing Fantasy 16.
Whatever.
But from what I remember, it did not last too long after the Spider-Man issue. And then we get a weird story about hunting.
Martians among us.
Which, I will say, Spider-Man, you want to know something that Spider-Man didn't have that a lot of the other older comics have?
Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
No, their hate for communism.
Oh my god. So we're bringing this up.
Well, I don't know, but I will say in this Martian story, we have this, like, Lucille Ball-looking woman.
We
like,
even have a guy that looks like Peter in it, that being like the announcer.
Oh yeah, that totally just looks like they just drew Peter.
I just drew a guy in glasses.
Which, by the way, no, the other person does not look like Ricky Ricardo. Just the wife looks like Lucille Ball for some reason. I guess she was famous still at the time, so that's fun. And then, like, they're pretty much just being like, watch out for Martians! You never know where they can be or who they can be! And then, like, the whole twist at the end of the book was the wife...
Martians
yeah, exactly.
all along.
Which, Martians just have 4 arms, I guess? Because, like...
yeah, it's really hard to tell them apart. It's not like they have a whole extra set of arms.
yeah,
it's not like that's very obvious.
Yeah, it's like... And it was just kind of there, and that's the end of Amazing Fantasy.
That was it.
That's what Amazing Fantasy 15 was. 4 really weird stories, like one very important to history. I see why not all of it gets reprinted, because not all of it's that important. But some of those stories are just so silly, and if you don't know they're happening, you're just kind of like, wait, what the fuck? And it's silly. It's straight silly.
Yeah, it's silly.
It's silly. It's fun. I love the wording. A lot of the narration.
What is this from again? Like, is it the 40s?
1962.
1962.
1962 is when these issues came out.
Damn.
And we get the first issue of Spider-Man in March of 1962. And we already got,
it's the man, the myth, the legend, J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah,
right
this is his debut.
Cover.
He is there to pretty much
and
make him...
he hasn't changed since.
Kind of.
Basically. Which... I mean, it's just like, it just all just sounded right. Like, look... Like, sometimes Spider-Man wouldn't sound like the Spider-Man that I would know. Like, sometimes the character is acted in ways that, like, I don't... nowadays, but J. Jonah Jameson is always going to be J. Jonah Jameson, and that's why we love him.
And I want to say this when it comes to, and I can say this for a lot of the older comics and everything else, because I have also read, like, Fantastic Four, Hulk, so on and so forth, and honestly, some of the narration and dialogue, and it could just be a me thing, maybe other people are going to be like, oh, I think of a Radio Barker. I weirdly always hear the narration being from Stan Lee himself. Like,
it's almost written in a way that
he's the one who's writing it. He's the writer.
Yeah, and I feel like he would also like almost kind of like write his like almost like dialect into it in a way.
Exactly, well, he definitely does. If you've read Daredevil,
it just sounds like he just again like that's just how
he's a showman.
He's a bit of a used car salesman.
A little bit,
just a little.
But
bit.
like so. Where do we want to start? Because J. Jonah Jameson, I think, that's the issue where he's trying to, like, get to pay for the whole thing. He already hates being Spider-Man.
Yeah. Oh, here's the check.
Yeah, and he's trying to get it cashed, and they're like, nope. And I like that J. Jonah Jameson is like, this guy sucks. He's the worst person, but you want to know who's fucking cool? My son.
Look at my son. He's an astronaut.
He's an astronaut.
Be jealous.
You should look up to him, not Spider-Man.
But and then ever since and now in Marvel Rivals, I just have to talk about how much of a menace Spider-Man is.
Oh my god, yeah. Everyone in Marvel Rivals has gotten a little bit more Jameson.
Since that game,
because everyone's like, oh, Spider-Man,
he's a menace.
And I like how the first half of this issue is introducing Jonah. And again, he is instantly iconic. He feels exactly like how you should. And there will be later issues, which maybe we will talk about. Who knows? We're not going to talk about them here. We're only talking about these 2 issues about these early years of Spider-Man. So, pretty much, I like that we get a rocket launch that goes awry, and that's what Spider-Man is doing for his first thing, which you just laughed so hard at the logic. And this is sound logic. What are you talking about? This is very sound logic. Because Spider-Man realized that the thing was out of control, so he needed to help it slow down. So he made a web net
Oh, that was Spider-Man? I thought that was the government
Oh wait, no,
trying.
it's the government. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Oh wait,
Spider-Man's the one that actually stopped it.
yeah,
Like,
the government just tries something and it fails.
yeah, but it's so they like just put a net with a parachute, and like the parachute's just like in the middle of the net, and it's just kind of like hanging out there. Like there's nothing to prop it up, and I don't know, it just seemed like they were so tired and they just had to draw.
And I like that they
silly.
immediately give Spider-Man a conflict.
so
A man who's been
ridiculous.
tearing him down, and he has to save his son. And
he's not grateful, because of course he isn't.
Well, yeah, but it's like him struggling if he should do it or not, but he does it anyway. And you see him get onto a biplane, and he's like, I'm gonna go save the day.
I can almost hear Stan Lee in my head. Like, I'm in Steve Dick, what's his name? Steve
Ditko's ear.
I'm in his shoes right now, having some crazy madman describe what the fuck he wants to happen. It's just like, and then he has a net with a parachute, and then he gets on a plane, and then he flips, and then he's on the rocket, and then he's doing all this crazy shit, and he's doing flips, and it's crazy, bro. Like, and then he's just like, and then what happens? Like, they're just like trying to figure out how they're gonna like have all of this go down, and then no one's grateful.
Exactly.
Because no one ever is.
Exactly. But then we get my favorite moment with Spider-Man after he's getting told that he's a public menace and pretty much gets very ungrateful and everything else, but also fearing what will happen if he can't, get money
because Aunt May is selling her jewelry to afford rent
and everything else. So it's like he's trying to figure things out. We haven't gotten quite to the picture angle yet, but we'll get there soon. So, what does Peter do when he thinks he needs to get money? We get to meet one of my favorite superhero teams, the Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four.
Which, can we just talk about, like literally, this is the first issue, and they're immediately just being like, oh yeah, like because the Fantastic Four are famous in the Marvel Universe. They're well known. Everyone knows who they are. You know the Baxter Building. So what does Peter do? Break into their home and say, give me a job!
Give me a job! Give me your money!
I need a job. How much you guys hiring? What's your dental plan? And all of a sudden, I like that Reed just has to say, dude, we're not getting paid for this. And then you obviously have Ben, who's just being like he's silly. And who is the first supervillain that we get to see Spider-Man face? The first of his long list of rogues gallery? Is it the Green Goblin?
Electro?
Or Scorpion?
I thought you were about to say Squirrel Girl for just a second.
Fuck Squirrel Girl. No.
It's Chameleon.
The Chameleon, which he looks silly.
He does. He looks kind of...
I like what we do with him later. Like, I get it, he's supposed to be, like, a blank face, but, like, the goggles look weird, and, like, I think Chameleon's supposed to be the next Tom Holland villain.
That would be interesting.
Especially, well, yeah, he gives up everything for his identity, and then somebody who steals his identity.
The way that they absolutely freaking bamboozled me into this trilogy, and it ended with his origin, essentially.
Well, yeah,
I was
him
just
being on his own, down on his luck.
You tricked me. You made me think that we weren't doing the origin because we skipped it, and Uncle Ben was already dead, and he already had the powers, and you pull this shit on me. How fucking dare you be that
You get
clever?
double origins. And, like, long story short, he stops the Chameleon, proves his innocence, and bing bada boom.
A spider sense is kind of getting a little bit more of a...
Oh yeah, like that kind of gets mentioned a lot more. Oh, I just realized communism.
Yeah, communism.
Their utter hatred.
Oh no, defeat all the commies, That's the true American mentality, especially in this time. I see. You also see him start to be more clever with his webs. I feel because he's been slinging around, but it's now he's also
making nets,
making parachutes. That sort of thing. He's getting a little bit more specific with his spider sense.
And literally he finally gets the chameleon caught and everything else, and he was just getting then still trying to get arrested and everything else, and you just kind of have Peter going off and the Fantastic Four being like, oh, if only we could have helped that boy, but he ran off. And he's like,
maybe we shouldn't have beat the hell out of him and sent him on his way.
Well, they didn't. Okay, wait, Ben wanted to beat the hell out of him, but I like how they were just immediately just being like, huh, maybe we'll see him again someday. Oh well, good luck to him. Goodbye. And Those were the first issues. Honestly, I think it is a really fun issue, especially since we get to see him interact with the Fantastic Four for the first time. And we obviously see later that he gets a very long-standing friendship with the Human Torch and everything else. And it's always fun for me to see him and the Fantastic Four interact. I always love it. I always love the timelines where you see, like, Peter, when he's older, takes over the Fantastic Four.
And because, like, I feel like it's so reminiscent of these comics. Like, what's the Spider-Man cartoon we're watching right now that's a little bit more similar to this?
No, the 90s one?
Yeah, it's just the 90s animated Spider-Man cartoon.
Oh, the one with, like, the Punisher in his van?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 96.
Well, we've been watching that as well, and it just feels so reminiscent of these in such a really good way. Like, it's old media.
It captures the comics
but,
at
like,
the time.
that is very much how if you have no way of reading
if
you have no way of reading this, or you don't have an
interest
in reading it, that's actually a really decent substitute, I'd say.
Spider-Man, the animated series, is a very good supplement. Which I guess that kind of can go into our talking about adaptations of Spider-Man.
But I do want to say one thing about it before we get right into the adaptations, because I did have something I
was
about
the 90s show?
Yes, like, and one of the things that's, like, you know, now that we've mentioned the Fantastic Four showing up here, and it just, like, and in, because I know it happens more in this and in other comic situations. It's just in comics, yeah. The crossovers, because it really does feel like, oh, like, we know that there's a bunch of superheroes in New York and, like, basically New York substitutes and whatever, and they are constantly running into each other. We see the Fantastic Four in the cartoon, you know, we see all sorts of other characters that I feel is really lost for nowadays, because it's just, everything is so tangled up in legality and licensing and copyright. It kind of almost has lost this small luster. Like, yeah, obviously we'll have our Avenger movies where everyone crosses over, but it felt so much more casual, you know? Like, it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna do the Punisher. Okay, now we're gonna do this guy.
Honestly, a lot of the 90s...
Fantastic Four. Or now we're gonna do...
exactly. Well, then you always hear him mention it. Like, oh, you won't see the Hulk do this, like, or something like that.
Yeah, we've seen it a lot. We've seen it a lot in The Incredible Hulk as well, which we've also been watching.
That show's insane.
That's a whole ass thing.
And overall, like, I think the 90s cartoon captures 90s comics also really well. It's the first one to, like, adapt a lot of those storylines. And I will say another really good, I think, modern adaptation, like, if we're going to talk about really good ones, like, Spectacular Spider-Man. Like, that is a new interpretation, but it's a really good one. I think its changes are decent. I think it constantly captures, like, the in-between of, like, what the new Ultimate comics were doing and some of the vintage stuff. And I think that's another really good one overall.
Right, and since we're going to be talking adaptations, this could also be a good way to mention, like, what our experience with comic books are, because you've read a lot more comic books than I. You have a lot more of a variety in your past when it comes to these kinds of stories. Like, you probably have seen a lot more cartoons that were actually on TV at the time.
Well, yeah, it's like, I watched all of those on Jetix. Who remembers Jetix?
Oh, I remember Jetix. So it just, I feel like since we're going to be, like, probably, like, drawing from different things, we can also probably talk about that almost at the same time.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so, like, you were mentioning Spectacular Spider-Man. Like, I don't know, like...
In Spectacular Spider-Man, there were ones like that, and then you obviously... You know, it's one I've only watched a couple episodes, mostly because it lost my interest, was... Did you know Neil Patrick Harris played Spider-Man for MTV's 3D, like, animated show? It looked like ass. Like, I didn't like how it looked. And, like, it was kind of bad. Like, no offense to Neil Patrick Harris. I think he did a fine job as Spider-Man and Peter Parker, but, like, the show itself was not that good.
You know what? Good opportunity to mention. Like, one thing that we talk about very periodically is the difference between someone portraying Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Because
there's a fine line.
Like for instance, like, one of, like, the people that I feel portray Peter Parker the best is Tobey Maguire. He just seems like the perfect nerdy, like, almost like baby face.
Awkward.
Like, you would never ever suspect was Spider-Man. But it's just like, does he make a good Spider-Man? Yes, but, like, like, he's the quintessential Peter Parker in my brain.
Oh yeah, and if
he plays a good Spider-Man, but that's
well, yeah, he did not nearly get as quippy or high energy as Spider-Man as I feel like he should. But again, he's also the first one to do it. So
I feel like Tom Holland, because
I feel like Tom Holland has a very good medium.
Yeah, because like I feel like with Andrew Garfield, they tried to go a little bit more of like the bad boy angle instead of like the reclusive nerd or like the geek kind of thing.
But yeah, then you have Spider-Verse. Like, those movies are
spectacular. Those are amazing. Those are some of, I mean, if we're gonna be talking about what are some of my genuine like favorite adaptations, just overall into this, like the animated Sony like Into the Spider-Verse is probably one of my favorites.
Jake Johnson as Peter Parker and as
I'm a simp for
Spider-Man
Tom Holland. I mean, what can I say? So
is probably my favorite Peter Parker of all time. Nobody. I literally remember I'm like, Nick Miller Spider-Man, Peter B. Parker, who is technically, they said, was 616 Peter. So I don't care. He is probably far and away my favorite. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact I still wish fucking oh my god, I can't remember her name, was his MJ, just for the whole New Girl reference. I can't remember.
What was her name?
If I didn't have to name her right now, I could probably fucking like do it any other time of day. Zooey Deschanel. I wish Zooey Deschanel was his Peter.
I was seeing you buffer and panic on your phone looking at him.
Shut your mouth. Nobody needs to know my phone's right here in my hand.
I saw you start to sweat. Like, you're just panicking. Like, I need to stall just a little bit longer. It surged. Like, Zooey Deschanel.
There it is. Nailed it. But
so
here's the thing. But I loved his interpretation because he was the perfect, like, witty, very sassy, but down it. Like, I like that he's the Peter that he is in the modern day, just unable to be happy and just is miserable, but probably is still trying to do his best.
Yeah.
And I love those movies. That is a fun interpretation of the Spider-Verse stories.
And I feel like those movies kind of capture what it means to be Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's just like that selflessness and that drive, that the good-heartedness, you know. It just like, it captures what does it mean to be Spider-Man, regardless of who you are. Whether you are a Peter or whether you aren't, you know.
And here's the other thing.
Miles is Spider-Man. Fight me.
Let's let the other shoe now officially drop on why we're actually doing this series.
Oh, finally.
Spider-Man still might beat him as my favorite character.
Ooh.
But I'm not sure. Ask me on any kind of day. I'm not sure.
Ask me tomorrow, my answer will be different.
Yeah, Venom is one of my favorite characters of all time. He is a character I can't even tell you when I got it. Like, Venom, my first probably experience was the 90 cartoon. And I just saw him and I said, that's my dude. Like, I don't know why, because it's like I'm weirdly not into scary things. I was never that into horror. But there was something about the big, beefy, toothy, long-tongued grin that I was like, fuck yeah.
Like, that's my boy.
That's my dude. And I love the black costume. Like, black costume, which he got in Secret Wars, I know everyone knows. Like, whatever. Like, I've actually finally read Secret Wars, he got the black suit there. They kind of teased the symbiote in it, but not enough to really mention right here.
They didn't really know what they wanted to do with him.
You can tell. I feel. And I think it's super funny that everyone was mad when they changed the costume. They were like, what the fuck? You changed the red and blue? We don't like it. Change it back. No, nobody likes it. And becomes one of the most popular looks for Peter for the rest of time. Literally, he was wearing it even after the symbiote was gone in Kraven's Last Hunt.
Shout out to the person that suggested... Wasn't it like a mail-in suggestion?
Yeah, it was like... I think it was a contest of some sort, and they didn't even use the concept or story.
Yeah, like, they took like the idea of it, played around with it, and then changed it. But, like, I'm just like, damn, you know...
Exactly. And we are now going to be talking about the lead up. Okay, what? But, like, oh wait, I want to talk about a little bit more things, starting with, like, the Venom stuff. Because I can tell you this, like I said, I want to say there was probably that. So I was like 6 or 7 when I saw Venom for the first time. It was one of the coolest things that happened to me. And I remember being a kid and Spider-Man 3. I was so fucking excited for Spider-Man 3. How is it my first childhood disappointment? We'll get to that in a second. I even remember I had a cousin who took me out of school early to go see it. I was like so hyped. And I just did the kid thing, even though like at first I didn't want to say I didn't like it. I was like, it was okay. But then the more I sat with it, the more I didn't like it. Because Venom was small. He didn't look right. He should have been bigger. He was kind of a fucking weird douche. I'm like, why do you even look like that? I didn't like it.
To be fair, I feel like it has been slightly redeemed in like a bit
It's
of a
funny.
point, like in a bit of a point of view switch. Someone has like I forget who, but it was suggested that like yeah, but like that's what the version of what Peter thinks is
okay,
cool.
Wait,
like, it makes it at least funnier now.
Well,
in
okay,
hindsight.
the movie itself, if you're watching it with people, like when we watch it, it's fucking funny. And yes, I do, like everyone always makes fun of Peter in the suit dancing and all of that shit. But yes, it does make it slightly better when somebody puts it into a perspective of that's what Peter thinks is
badass
cool
and cool.
And it's
fun.
like it makes you kind of giggle a little bit.
It makes it far funnier.
And you have any comments you want to make?
I feel like one thing that like we didn't really get to mention. I feel like you got a bit excited and just wanted to talk about Venom.
I did.
Wanted to. There was a few adaptation things I wanted to mention.
Yeah, sure.
Thing.
Go ahead. Go back to the adaptations. I blew the goo.
You BO'd it a little bit too soon.
I BO'd it too close to the sun.
You BO'd it too close to the sun. I feel like one thing that like we underratedly haven't mentioned is video games because I mean if we're gonna be also talking about Venom and stuff like
PlayStation
like the PlayStation I think it was just 5 or was it also 4?
No, it was the PlayStation 4. Yeah, because it came out on PlayStation 4 and then got remastered on 5.
It really feels like you're playing Spider-Man.
I love those games.
It feels like you're Spider-Man. It really does. It's so fun. Like,
I know so many...
like the story. It feels about right. Like it's just like a different telling of a Spider-Man story.
Well, yeah, and then you get Miles in there.
And it's really fun to play. I really like how they do things. And it feels like it has like the goodness of what Spider-Man is at heart, including things like Venom and all of their other things.
It's super funny because that's weirdly a hot take apparently because there are a lot of people who hate it and are like, oh, it doesn't adapt Peter right. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's just different. Like if there's one thing
Gary Lowenthal does a great job.
Oh, absolutely. He's a great Spider-Man.
Josh Keaton though. I always still love Josh Keaton.
And honestly, like even just going into like one of the reasons that we like these characters is because of how they feel, and even things like Marvel Rivals, it gives you a bit of an inkling as to that. Like I don't play Spider-Man, but like I feel like if you have truly mastered that character and you're flipping around, you zoom in, you just annihilate somebody and you zip out, and you're just annoying them the whole fucking time and making them curse and call you a menace, you're kind of being Spider-Man. You're doing the thing.
Well, it's like when you piss off a Hulk. I guess that's true. You should be mad.
And like in the same thing with like Venom. Like I mean, that's a character you lorded. So like.
Yeah, I'm about to say I had to.
It's the boy. It's your boy. So like
man.
You had to, and it's like I feel like you could probably attest to like it feels about right for Venom.
Well, it feels fun to play. Like, I like that the playstyle doesn't... It feels also very similar to Spider-Man, which makes sense, but better.
Because... I don't think we need to go too in-depth, like, when it comes to video games, because that's not really
what we're here for. But if you want us to talk about Marvel Rivals, tell us in the comments.
Yeah, that would be really fun to talk about. But,
I've got the lore, too.
Yeah, I'm about to lord a few characters.
I said lord. No, I didn't say lord. I said lore.
Oh, the lore. Gotcha.
Yeah, we can talk about the lore.
I'm so sorry. It's almost like they sound incredibly similar.
What are you talking about?
Whatever. Either way, like, we could definitely move on, but I felt like those were definitely worth at least a
No,
mention.
you're definitely right, and I feel like there are a few things I'm going to talk about.
It adds to the love of why we love them, basically.
But yeah, and so we're now going to talk about issue 258, which is just him getting rid of the symbiote for the first time. And...
You flipped to it. I don't know where the fuck it is.
No, I'm not. Okay. I'm not flipping to it because we are using a book. We have the books right in front of us. We are using the epic collection of Venom called Symbiosis, which pretty much collects all his early year stuff. And it's honestly, if you want to read Venom from his start, it's the
Good one.
easiest way to do it.
It also gives you context around, so you're not like completely just being thrown.
Well,
into...
exactly. Like they have excerpts and everything to kind of tell you what happens a little bit after he gets rid of the symbiote and everything. It obviously will not tell you certain parts where it's like this issue literally has Mary Jane telling Peter that she knows who the hell he is, and then like you have the whole Rose plot line. Like if you want answers to that, you go read
issue
go back to reading Spider-Man, because if it's not Venom related, it's not in this book.
Yep.
So like him getting rid of the symbiote is kind of a thing, because like I said,
didn't he originally get it from the Fantastic Four? Or was
no,
that
he got rid of it with the Fantastic Four. That's what this issue is. But like but he got it on Battle World, because like that was the whole thing. He like in the comics. Mm-hmm. So like this is him a little bit after Battle World. He's kind of with Black Cat. They're kind of arguing and all of that. And so like after he realizes the symbiote was going out and doing stuff while he was sleeping, kind of made him raise questions of being like, I should have Reed Richards go check this out, because he said he would, so better take him
Reed
up on that.
was so excited when he got there. He's like, oh, thank God you came.
He's just
I
like,
want to look at that thing for a while.
Yeah, exactly. And so like we see them eventually be like, yeah, Peter, that's alive and it wants to bond to you. And Peter starts freaking out, like trying to yank it off and everything else. And you pretty much then see him get like a sonic gun and get the symbiote off, and we get the greatest appearance of all time, Bagman! And Johnny Storm, being the friend that he is,
put a kick me sign.
Yeah, put a kick me sign. Because of course he did. Long story short, Peter was having a really bad day, but if I remember correctly, Black Cat reveals that she made him more black costumes, if I remember correctly.
Something like that.
But like I do appreciate in like his nightmare dream, you had like the iconic like suits fighting for him. You know what I mean? Like I think that was in that issue. Oh wait, no, that's in Death Do Us Part. But like it's super Oh wait, no, it was in this. No, it was in 258. I see it right here. Like, I think that was a really cool sequence, seeing, like, and you see it time and time again, honestly, of, like, the red and black suit fighting over Peter. And I like that Peter is back in, like, his retro look. Like, he does not look like that in the comics right now, like, the glasses and all of that. But in this like dream, he is. Like,
which is a nice callback.
Well, yeah, it's a really nice callback and everything else. But, like, yeah, he's just Bagman and then has to deal with it. And then they just kind of have excerpts from other issues of other things.
Or just like where the hell it was. Like, just
yeah, so long story short, the symbiote just scares Franklin. And, which, that's scary.
And by the way, it wasn't really treated as goopy at one point. Yeah. It was more of like an empty costume just fluttering in the wind.
Yeah.
Like a flat piece of paper.
Yeah, he just took over a body of a dude and just like made him take him to Peter's house. But like you see him come at him like a flat little piece of paper. Mm-hmm. And
like hides in his closet at some point.
Well, yeah. He still does that to this day. Still trying to hide in Peter's closet. And
Venom won't come out of Spider-Man's closet.
God, get out of the closet, Venom. But like, yeah, by the way, did the dangerous thing of trying to mess with Franklin Richards. Could have gotten himself deleted. Got himself deleted from that fucker. And then you finally have, like, when the symbiote returns to him, in one of my favorite issues of all time, which is Web of Spider-Man #1, I think it is. It might be a different one. Let me look at the exact name. Yeah, no, it was Web of Spider-Man #1, and it's Till Death Do Us Part. Mm-hmm. This, to me, is the... Nothing has been adapted as well as this.
Defining Venom as
like this is setting up what we need. It is not written by the people who would make Venom, and is still a few years before I think it's still a good chunk of time before Venom would even show up. But like what the idea of what the symbiote is and how it works is set up here. You kind of get it a little bit more swooshy and goopy. And, like, you see, once again, the symbiote mimic his costume and make him put it on. And then you get him terrified to being like, wait, why is it warping? And, like, he has such this oh shit look on his face of, like...
Unintentionally kind of giving that one, like, red and blue shading that you like.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And, like... Yes, there's stuff about, like, vulture men, but they don't really matter. Well, how are they... Okay.
He's like,
not
whatever.
that annoying, but like I like how he had to deal with the Vulture Men and the Black Suit trying to kill him all at the same time. So it's like a really bad day for Peter.
He was just
And like
struggling,
crashing and trying to get to the Fantastic Four building so he could finally take it off, and just nothing is going his way. And then we finally get to the most iconic scene of him discarding it, and that is the church tower, which again he did get with the Vulture Boys. He got there via the Vulture Boys, but we get one of the most important parts of Venom history, and it's him literally getting willing to kill himself to stop the symbiote, or believe what he's stopping the symbiote. And it is nothing at this ending scene. Like, I don't care how you feel or whatever else. I don't think anything has ever reached the level of amazing as the ending of this scene. Like, again, the idea that Peter is reaching the point to where he thinks he's going to die and everything else. Like, he feels himself losing it. Like, losing consciousness. Like, the bell is killing him just as much as it's killing the symbiote, which I don't think we really see portrayed at all in some of the other stories.
No,
and,
I don't think so. It's more just
and
like
you see the symbiote, and then you see the symbiote get away, and then it just says something along the line of, but symbiosis is a two-way street. And, like, it explains of, like, how it never felt love. And, again, there is nothing more bone-chilling than the end of the issue saying, it's like, soon Peter will wake up, and he will wonder why it saved him. And it's a question that he will ask himself for the rest of his life. It is
good stuff, man.
Amazing.
And he's just left there in his tidy whities.
Exactly. Like, we don't even see him get home. Maybe the next issue you see him get home. But in Death to His Part, if you are a Venom fan, if you are a Spider-Man fan, you should read it. That is one of my favorite issues of all time. Like, it has so many different fun parts to it, and the ending makes it all worth it. Like, it does make you question where it's like, is the symbiote malicious in the first place? Like, and that's something I want to say. Like, the aggression and everything else.
What Venom was doing while Peter was asleep.
Yeah, exactly. It just said he was going out, and then like
the fear of not knowing is what kind of got Peter, I imagine.
Well, yeah, then he has connection issues. Like, he has relationship issues.
He has commitment issues, like to a harsh degree.
And I love the build up to Venom, because it's like, you don't see Eddie right away. It's not them cheating. It's like, yeah, he just starts pushing him.
Because like, he has spider sense, and no one's ever been able to like surprise him like
Venom
that
is the first person to
and honestly,
use
like, honestly it's such a great panel right here, because that truly actually does portray the fear of just like, oh god, the implication of what just happened.
Yeah, it's like,
my spider sense didn't go off.
What does it mean?
What does that
mean? And it
mean?
happens to him twice.
It's actually gets like kind of genuinely spooky, but especially when you see like the buildup of like, oh, seeing the black suit pop up again and seeing that this is someone that's been tracking like Spider-Man.
Peter, yeah.
Hates
yeah, in one of the excerpts.
Spider-Man.
And then you get one of my favorites, which is just an excerpt we get to see in Spider-Man 299. So I'm imagining this is really all you see of him in this issue, because it's just teasing what's about to happen in 300. And you just see Mary Jane walk home, see the black costume, which he still was wearing at the time, and then a mouth appears.
Hi, honey.
And then you see Venom for the first time. And I love how he looks. It's not my favorite Venom look, but it looks pretty good. I love the blue outlining. And that's the issue.
It truly scares her. Like, she makes him, like, be like, you are never
when Venom is all said and done, she's like, get rid of that fucking costume.
No.
I don't want to see it again. And those are the issues we're talking about. We were just leading up to 300. We're going to be talking about a few next time after 300. We're going to go full Venom real time. But this was mostly Spider-Man and like him discarding the suit. Death to His Part. I think it's funny how they teased Eddie. Like, they didn't show like the symbiote or something else like that. They just showed somebody was pushing him. Like, that's what they did. They were like, yeah, what if somebody just like pushed Spider-Man? Like, that's just what he did. He just pushed him around. And then we got one of the coolest Spider-Man characters of all time. Like, what did you think of the issues?
I don't really read a whole lot of older comics, because again, it's a newer hobby for me. it was a really different experience, especially some of the early Spider-Man stuff. Again, a lot of words are on the paper. There's so much more reading involved. And again, that definitely gets better by the end of it. But I really liked, it's just really interesting also as an artist to see how they've like changed over time. Like there were so many like just in
different
your
parts
face
and
colors, like
yeah.
different saturations, and like because I imagine some of it had to do with like, oh, what kind of paper were they printing on in this time and age? Like it was it like it, like what were the like longevity things taken? Like, oh, was the color a certain shade of like yellow or brown or whatever, so they had to make it saturated, or just so many like different things, and like seeing how people just improve over time in general, and like showing the depictions of like how someone can move that way, and just like, oh,
Yeah.
how do we visualize these like things like spider sense? Like I know that there are so many different visualizations of spider sense, and that's a really fun thing to think
by
about.
the way, something I was looking over my notes. I forgot that he mentioned his godson. Normie existed before Eddie, but then he becomes Eddie's son's best friend. It's weird. Time's weird. Time is weird in the Marvel universe.
It's just gotten so many rewrites and whatever. Like,
Well, yeah.
it's like, oh,
well,
God,
there's
it's a
also
mess.
so many different parts that you see with Black Suit sagas, that you don't see in these early comics, like the aggression and everything else. I like it's more of the question, like, what is the symbiote doing? Why does it want to bond with him? Like, that's what freaks Peter out. It's not, it's making me angry.
It's the unknown.
Exactly. But it's like, I get why in later adaptations you want to add stuff like that, because you need a reason for him to discard it.
Peter's also just such a different character, because again, he's not a selfish hero, but he is a bit of a brat. He's a little bit of a brat sometimes, and he's kind of a jerk sometimes as well. Like,
exactly. So it's like
it's
his
like
own
he's a character.
His own insecurities is what causes Venom to happen. Like,
and Venom never got over it.
well, he's never getting
he's
like the symbiote's
heartbreaker, dream taker.
And like I said, Death Do Us Part is just one of those issues that really does show you what I think makes the symbiote really interesting. The idea that they show you that, no, maybe what it wasn't doing was all evil. Everything that Peter taught it will last it for the rest of its life. It's even stuff you'll see in stuff like Venom War in the modern day and everything else. So, like, it's so interesting to see what they do with these characters and how he evolves and goes about it. And, like, that's why Venom is such an important character to me. Like, when I was first getting into comics and being able to buy physical comics, because growing up, we didn't have a comic shop around here.
No.
So, like, I couldn't read modern comics.
Yeah, like, I only ever got comic books whenever it was, like, something that was free, or something that was, like, oh, it's $1.
Yeah.
Or it's like in a bargain
Our
bin,
stores,
or at a thrift, or at some sort of thrift store, secondhand something.
Or antique malls and stuff
yeah,
like that.
antique malls. Like, those would be the only times when I would actually get them. Granted, I usually saw some in, like, like, where, like, the magazines and stuff
like,
were.
yeah, that's where the Archie books were.
But, like, yeah, and it's like, I actually did enjoy reading Archie as well. So it's like,
I've never read much Archie.
I guess if we're talking, like, our history with comic books, I'm surprised I actually didn't mention that. I did actually really like Archie, specifically because I would read those, like, while my parents grocery shopped.
Ah.
Funny enough, like, I wouldn't be able to buy them because, like, we didn't have money.
You know what's funny is, oh my god. Well, here's the thing. So, I always had, like, from, like, almost middle school to high school, I always had...
one, though.
Yeah, I always had 5 issues I always had with me, and I would reread them over and over and over again.
I think I know what these are.
2 of them were Green Lantern, Circle of Fire, and the other 3 were the Venom the Madness issues. So I'm excited for us to talk about those,
that sounds about right.
because I love those books. They're not that good! I'm gonna be honest, they're not that great.
It's your nostalgia.
But yeah, I have such a soft spot because I remember reading those stories over and over and over again. Those were like some of the first comics. The first time I could see issue 1 of Venom, and I'm like, whoa! And so it's like I had to buy it. It had like a nice indenting thing. It had texture on the issue.
I think
he was
yours
fighting
started
the
to fall
Juggernaut.
apart.
No, luckily, my Madness issues never fell apart. I also had
was it the Green Lantern that started to fall apart?
Slightly, but then I also had Lethal Protector issues, like the first miniseries, and those fell apart because I read them a bunch too. So like,
Lethal Protector.
I love.
A really good one.
We're gonna get to Lethal Protector.
We'll get to him.
Oh, don't worry. We'll get to him in time.
We love Venom in this house.
Oh, wait until we get to King in Black.
Oh, baby.
But also, we're gonna need to talk about all new Venom.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be a fun one because you didn't read Al Ewing's Run with Dylan, so I'm gonna be curious on what you're gonna think of all new Venom.
I need to get caught up again.
I'm about to say that might not be the next episode, but that might be the next Venom episode after the next one. But we'll have to see. Overall, Venom is one of my favorite characters of all time.
Really?
I love the symbiote so much. That gooey thing with him.
Gooey buffy boy.
Well, yeah.
That long ass tongue and those sharp ass teeth.
Well, yeah, I'm about to say, I'm like, there's so many also different interesting hosts and everything else.
Oh yeah, Venom's been around.
He's been around. But okay, wait. Since we're talking about favorite characters,
he's like your mom. Everybody gets a turn.
Do you want? Okay, since we're moving on from Venom, we're getting into the wrap up parts. Who is your favorite Spider-Man villain?
You know, it might be Venom, Adam.
No, okay, wait. We're taking him out of the running. Like I could say like Green Goblin, Doc Ock, all of that. Like, there's so many good Spider-Man villains. I'll say that. I know you want to say Scorpion. But he's also a chump. It's so funny. We always
boy. You know what? I know you know who is my favorite Spider-Man villain?
The Rhino?
No. Nah, because you know who Peter's greatest enemy is? It's himself.
I was gonna say the editors.
Yeah, Marvel editors. 100%.
Marvel's editors.
Nah, fuck those guys. We don't like them.
Yeah, well, honestly, some of them were saying, "Oh, Ultimate Spider-Man." We actually might have to do
one last day.
Oh god, we're not. Oh god, that isn't it. Mephisto. Peter's worst enemy.
Look, I do like Matt. I like Scorpion. Like, I'm gonna admit,
Gargan.
I like Matt Gargan, but that's because of like one thing. I was just like, you know what, this guy is pretty cool. I'm gonna see if there's anything really for him. And guys, no one likes Scorpion.
He's a chump. He's like the guy who shows up who's a chump.
Like he's like the level 1. He's like that first Goomba, like that's on like the first Mario game, where like many kids died to that first Goomba because they didn't know how. But once they knew what the jump button was, that first Goomba's a bitch. That's Matt Gargan.
Not to say he didn't get his own serious moments, but.
Guess what? He failed. And I'm just like, damn, it almost makes me just be like, oh, if I could write a story for him, I would almost want it just so that he could have some actual fucking
some
lore.
W's.
Like, have something under it instead of he's just a guy that Peter shoves in a fucking locker. Like,
well, yeah, it's because it's like he's made by Jameson, so you think that would make him interesting.
No.
And it does, but it's like he just loses every time.
It's hysterical how little there is on him, which is why I like answering the Scorpion, because it's just like, why? Why? Because no one else fucking
he's
will.
The dweeb.
I'm gonna be the one person. It's just he's my boy. I believe in him. He'll get a W one day.
616 Scorpion, one day.
One day,
Mackie boy.
One day, Matt Gargan, I will get my hands on your license, I will make you king.
Hey, don't worry. You can live in vain knowing that you're maybe 4th best symbiote host.
To be fair, he got that sick tail. That'd be pretty cool.
He's better than Lee Price. Let's just admit that right now. I know you don't know who that is.
Whatever, man.
But he's better than him. Mm-hmm. I'm about to say, I gave him 4th, not really thinking about who all we would consider. But, so yeah, maybe he doesn't really get that one, but he's not on the podium.
If there's one thing that, like, I feel like I've kind of just come to appreciate, because the original question was, like, who's my favorite Spider-Man villain that isn't Venom?
The Gorblin?
I just, like, it's a little hard because it's, like, I like what
There's
each
so many
of them
good ones.
do. Because it's, like, a lot of, like, the Sinister Six in particular, like the Green Goblin, like Doc
Kingpin.
Ock, like Kingpin. Like, even, like, Mr. Negative seemed really interesting from what I've seen. Like, I haven't seen much outside of
Spider-Man has a pretty good... Kraven the Hunter.
Kraven the Hunter, absolutely.
Mysterio.
Like, there's just, like, so many good... And they all, like, do different things, you know? Yeah. Like, they all tap into different parts of Peter. Sandman is another good one. Basically, we're just listing off the Sinister Six. It's Venom, dude. It's Venom.
Venom,
He's super cool.
He's cool. He's my guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, That's
But again, I guess I'll just have to answer Scorpion just because why not?
It's funny.
It's funny.
Like,
It's my answer, damn it.
Well, like, that's
and
what
I'm
saying.
answering Scorpion.
I'm not answering Morloon. Morloon can go fucking suck an egg. Like, I'm glad that the Spider-Verse has not touching more. Oh, the lizard is so good, though.
God.
I do love, because like that's one of those tragic stories.
Oh, X-Men also was in like some Spider-Man too.
Yeah,
like
Beast was there
with a man spider too.
Yeah, man, that was fun. I like how this was just turned us into rambling about Spider-Man and then Venom there.
Is that not exactly what you wanted this to be?
Well, yeah, we're talking about Spider-Man. This is TokuBrew, the Spider-Man edition.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we also have Toei Spider-Man, which
Toei
we also
Spider-Man is
somehow
so good.
did not mention. During...
How have we not mentioned Toei Spider-Man?
I think because we were just like waiting for it, like we were waiting to talk.
Yeah,
about
I'm about
Toei
to say.
Spider-Man.
So yeah, Toei Spider-Man I still need a little bit more research to say is one of the earliest Spider-Man variants of not being Peter Parker, but he captures what it means to be Spider-Man so well that I don't care what anyone says, that is a great adaptation. It is not Peter Parker as Spider-Man, but it is a Spider-Man story. You see the loss and everything else, the idea of selfishness and everything. He has an Uncle Ben. It's not Uncle Ben. It's his dad. But like, it is so much genuine emotion. And again, it's like it's hard to watch that episode.
Before,
we have talked about it before, but I will talk about it again because it is such a good scene. Is just to see the emotion in knowing that that is actually the actor crying over his own dead father,
who had also
just passed. It's like it adds so much weight and levity to that, and then you get the wackiness of like the poses and the giant robot. But like
they for sure, like it's like it has Japan's fingerprints all over it.
Exactly.
Like this is, I mean,
I love that Stan Lee loved it.
Stan Lee was like the one person that was just like, I love it,
and everyone else was like, yes, of course, everyone loves it, Mr. Lee.
Yes, definitely. We weren't bullshitting and talking. We weren't talking shit like 2 seconds ago for sure.
Yeah, about how nobody wants it. And I love Toei Spider-Man.
And like, oh god, and like the actor, we got to see the actor learn that, like.
Oh yeah, then he liked it. He's like, oh, good.
Like, really? Like,
it was amazing.
It was so cute. And like, by the way, apparently he was supposed to be in like Across the Spider-Verse.
I think he's supposed to be in part 2 or something.
He fucking better be, or I'm going to riot.
He's going to be apparently for whatever.
He was on the fucking poster.
Well, we're getting that.
Was there.
We're getting that new design for Spider-Verse versus Venom-verse.
By the way, absolutely, beautiful.
That design is cool.
Beautiful suit. I love it. The only thing it's missing is 70s cowboy tassels. Like,
that is true. Like I like that.
I love it.
Weirdly enough, I didn't see him. He's not in the event yet. I've read the first issue of Spider-Verse versus Venom-verse. Toei Spider-Man's not there. What the fuck? How does he have this new design and he's not there? So, I guess maybe he's in a later issue, or maybe it's not in that series and I'm forgetting it. I don't know. But Toei Spider-Man, 10 out of 10. Look him up.
Oh, God.
The Emissary of Hell.
God, and guys, it's actually genuinely such a good story.
It's
so fun.
It's fun.
The
it's
music
stupid.
is beautiful.
Okay, wait. If you are a Toku fan, if you like
Showa stuff,
if you watch Showa era Toku,
it's worth it for sure.
Give it a shot. If
you're on TokuBrew, you probably do in some way.
And if you can't stand,
if you listen to our bullshit,
yeah. But if you can't stand Showa era stuff, you maybe give it a pass.
Look, if you're just a Spider-Man fan, but you're not usually a fan of that stuff, it's worth watching an episode, if only for the giggles.
For some of the hijinks, there's one time where he just pulls out a gun and starts shooting people.
Yeah.
Then there was this one time where a car ran over a grandma. It's weird.
Oh yeah, and him actually climbing buildings and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You're just like, oh my god, what were the safety protocols?
And them using old ass effects to get him to climb up the wall and stuff. Like, come on, how could you not love it?
It's amazing. But I think that's it. Do you have anything else?
I do have, like, one more thing. Okay. So, like, since, again, we're just talking about, like, what got us into, like, comic books and stuff in general, I do have to say, like, I gotta want to end this almost on a thank you, because,
this ramble about comics?
No, I wanted to thank you to you, Adam. Because I kind of got into comics mainly because you were able to finally provide me a way to read them.
If there's one thing I like, it's curating people's experiences on comic books. It's fun.
And like, again, you're kind of the reason I really got into reading comic books, because I probably would have just stopped at like the Marvel movies and some of this stuff, and I never would have like read more in depth. And I would have found...
Yeah, but you wouldn't have read King in Black.
I wouldn't have gotten to read King in Black. I wouldn't have gotten to read a lot of really good stories. I wouldn't have found a lot of things that are even like adjacent to comic books and stuff. So I just want to have an air of appreciation because you helped me get into something that I loved. So,
Well,
thank you, and I love you.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. I've honestly...
He's my husband. I get to kiss him. It's fine.
And again, I just really wanted to talk about some books. Like, obviously you guys can tell. I just really... This whole episode was probably just made to talk about Death Do Us Part. Like, I fucking... You saw how much I love that issue.
Guys, you know how long I've had to hear him talk about how much he's been wanting to make this? We've
been working months.
Mainly because I needed to read a lot of things.
Well, that and it's like, we got busy.
Guys, I had so much Berserk I had to read first.
Berserk, coming soon. No, it's not.
Maybe you know what, guys? I want you to all gang up on him and demand a thing on Berserk because I want to, and I can't.
You know what? Comments.
I can't get him to read it. I'm trying to get him to read it. Help me out, guys.
You know what? Comment section.
I want you to demand it.
If you want us to talk about Berserk as in like the same vein we talked about this, we will do it. You know what?
Yes,
100%.
please. I love Berserk. I want to talk about it. I'm trying to get his ass to read it. He won't read it.
Yeah, matter of fact, you know what? I was going to give a number. I don't even care. If any of you guys say, yeah, I want to see you guys talk about Berserk, you know what? We'll do it. I don't know how many
chapters. Into the comments?
No, you're not allowed. If you go into the comments, you're not allowed to say
I'll make a comment. I'll be like, here you
You're going to make a fake...
Call to action.
You're going to make a fake account that says totally Dude Reserve. That it says definitely not Stormy.
Definitely not Stormy.
No, it says Mrs. Fairweather.
Mrs.
10 out of 10 for anyone who gets that reference.
How dare you?
So, yeah, no, if you want us to talk about any other comics, tell us down in the comics.
It's me with like a mask on top of my mask.
But yeah, tell us what you want us to talk about in the comments below.
Make it Berserk, please.
Or
for
whatever.
My own personal game.
Make it Fantastic Four. I would not mind talking about Fantastic
Four. Make it Berserk.
Hey, I didn't mention what I'm reading right now, so whatever. So, yeah, tell us what you want to see down in the comments. Anyway, are there any other movies? Do you guys want to see us talk about more of the shows, too? Because we could do that, too.
We just like comic books. We like talking about stuff we like.
The podcast is back.
Honestly, we're kind of just trying to branch out and just be like, what are just stuff we just want to talk about? Just
exactly.
For funsies. We're big nerds.
Pigeonholing us to Toku was a bad idea.
You know what? And if you suggest something that we have never heard of and we enjoy it, then hey, you introduce us to something new.
Exactly, and thank you for that.
Yeah,
and if there's any Toku stuff you do want us to talk about, and we've seen it, or we can watch it, we might talk about it.
Yeah, we'll see.
We are never not open for suggestions.
Yeah, I always like learning about new stuff I've never heard about before.
Also, really the Guyver. I really want to talk about the Guyver, but we might not be able to do a movie-thon this year. Guyver was supposed to be on that list.
Yeah, we just got really busy.
I'm busy.
Real life circumstances.
Busy. Life has been crazy.
Life's been nuts, but hopefully we can, just keep this train going, just pop in whenever we can, and just have a nice little sit down and a talk, and just hang out. That's basically what these are, just us hanging out.
So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, and
we'll probably talk more Venom and stuff later.
Or whatever else we're going to do. So thank you so much for listening, and until whatever we do next.
Bye-bye!